I don't think we ever spoke about your son's autism. How did you find out that information? Like, was he showing signs? Like, how did that come about?
Well, really what happened was I had a traumatic birth, a traumatic delivery. And so Zach was born at 10 months. I went 10 months pregnant, and he was born in distress. Like my water hadn't broken. Like I still barely had dilated, and I'm 10 months pregnant. He just didn't want to come out. So it was probably because he was in distress, as the doctors put it, and he had a bowel movement while he was, in my womb. And
oh wow.
Because he was in distress, and due to the toxin from the feces, he inhaled just way too much. The medical term for it is he inhaled too much meconium. So he came out with meconium aspiration, which means he pretty much came out not breathing. His lungs were filled with the toxin from having the bowel movement. So Zach had to be rushed to the hospital before I even could hold him, see him, anything. Like they had to whisk him away to an entirely different hospital, clear across town from where he was born, and to save his life, because they predicted that he wasn't going to live.
Oh wow!
Because he had inhaled so much, yeah. And so, long story short, he just was in the hospital for a month and a half in the NICU, and when he came home, everything was pretty normal. He was fine. Once time went on and he got a little older, he was crawling really. He barely crawled. He wanted to walk. He started walking early, and he was babbling so early. So I was like, oh, he is going to be talking in a minute. He is just doing great. He wasn't on any medication or anything like that. He was looking like he was just fine. But as time went on, we realized he wasn't saying any words. He was 12 months and he still wasn't saying mama. So the doctors and the pediatricians were a little concerned that his speech may have been delayed. So that's when we took the necessary steps and put him in speech therapy. And in the world of special needs, that's early intervention. We did early intervention before we even got the diagnosis of autism. So that's pretty, it's pretty awesome that we went that route. We kind of intervened before we even knew that we were, autistic. We put him in speech and occupational therapy really early on. So we got the diagnosis when he was 4, because he's been in speech therapy and special needs pre-K for a couple of years now. So I think we took him to be screened when he was 2, but he was too young. They couldn't tell then because he was a little too young. So then we took him back and they went ahead and diagnosed him with autism. He has developmental delays, and that's mostly what a lot of autistic children struggle with. And that's one of his major developmental delays is his language. He does talk all day long. Lord Jesus, my child, he's never quiet. He talks, Lord Jesus. But he's just, he doesn't communicate. He'll say words all day, and he's gotten so much better. Now he actually, he calls me and music mommy and daddy. He knows who we are. There was a time where he couldn't say that. He's able to tell us what he wants, but he just has to be prompted. We have to ask him what he wants, and he can say at least 2 words. He can say I want and whatever it is he wants, but he's just not fully communicating. He has to be prompted to communicate with us. If not, he'll just be talking amongst himself and not really caring about you or anybody else. So we're working on that and getting him to communicate with other people.
How is that?
So he talks, but he doesn't communicate. So it's kind of tough, because I have to guess what he wants, and it's challenging and it's tedious and it's tiring, but it's my baby, so I gotta do what I gotta do.
If you guys just tuned in, is of course CKF. We're here with former lead singer of 702, a friend of the show. She's been here countless times, Meelah Williams. Meelah, I'm so glad you're talking about this. I worked with autistic children for a very long time before getting into
really?
This side of it. Yeah. Okay. So so I always find it necessary when guests come through here on the show to talk about that. So other people that have autistic children or children with special needs, that they're not alone. How have you, being in this business, it's pretty much the 24-hour business, not a regular schedule. How have you, adjusted your life to kind of taking care of Zach and trying to pursue your solo career?
I have no idea, Kemp. I'm serious. Like, I don't know. I mean, thankfully, my mom is here, helping me out. Me and music are both really busy.
Yeah.
But we make sure, that Zach gets the proper attention that he needs, from myself, from, his dad, of course, from the therapist. My mom has been a godsend. What I do is definitely make sure that my child comes first. Like, I want to make sure that, I definitely am having to do a lot of hustling now that I'm like just now getting back out there.
Yeah.
But, before I take off and, go and travel and whatnot, like, I make sure that Zach is good. You know what I mean? And that's where my mother comes in. And if not my mom, it's music here. We trade off. We make sure he gets to school and make sure he gets to his therapies and, make sure, like, when he's home. First of all, Zach is my freaking shadow. That boy is a mama's boy. He's glued to my hip. He loves his mommy. And I'm not just saying that, like, OMG. It's so funny because when he was a baby, he couldn't really say mama for a long while. He couldn't say mama. And it used to hurt my feelings so bad, Kemp.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know it's not his fault, but I used to be like, oh my God, like, I'm just waiting for the day for him to say mommy. So now that he can actually say it and he knows that I'm mommy, like, it just warms my heart. And
what was that first?
So spoiled, Lord.
What was that first moment though? Because as you said, it took him a while before he actually was able to say mommy. What was that moment though when he did say it? Can you tell us that story? Do you remember that story, that moment?
When did he finally say mommy? I think it was us using pictures, because he's a visual learner, so we were using pictures, and we would always just, amongst myself and music and the therapist and my mom, we would always just point to me and daddy and whatnot, and he finally, one day I pointed to myself, because there was a time when he just look at it. And finally one day I said, who's that, Zach? Who's that? And he said, mommy. Oh, Lord, I must have lost it. I lost it. I was like, oh my God, is that mommy? It was beautiful. Like, oh my Lord. I still to this day get teary-eyed when I hear him say certain stuff, because he's still learning every day. He still has so much more, like, he has so much of a ways to go, but he's come so far.
But doesn't it make you?
I still get emotional.
But doesn't it make you appreciate? Normally when people have children, they appreciate those moments of when they first learn to walk or when they say their first words. But don't you, especially as a parent, appreciate it even more?
Oh my God, you have no idea, dude. Yes, absolutely. Especially because Zach was predicted not to live. Like, the fact that he was, projected not to be here, he had a 90% chance at death and 10% chance at life. Right, Kim. Okay, 90%. Like, it was that severe. So,
miracle.
Like, every day he was straight up a miracle. So every day, I'm just like so appreciative. And music, always says that to me. Like, listen, like, he is, like, this boy is good. Like, he's so good. The fact that he's here, I'm like, I know. It's such a blessing. But of course, me being a mommy, of course, I just am still like, come on, Zach, I know you can talk, because he's so smart. He can read. Like, how do you know how to read, but you don't want to talk to me? Like, he reads, and he's known his colors and numbers and all of that stuff since he was like 2. It's amazing. Autistic children are geniuses in their own right anyway.
Yeah.
So
they just struggle with other aspects.
Because it's like what they lack in, they make up for in something else. Like, they're really strong in something else, and it's amazing. I have faith. I'm going to be very optimistic and continue to trust God and trust that God didn't save his life just for him to, never to be able to communicate with me fully. So I'm really trusting that he'll be communicating soon.